Hey, good morning to you. Happy hump day to you. Hey, this is Oz on Smash Bros Radio, the only digital, operational, up and running digital radio station located in Jefferson County, Birmingham. How's everybody doing this hump day? I hope you got enough of stuff and got your little humping on before you made it out, because we know there ain't nothing like some good humping to get your day started good. Hey, we are Smash Bros Radio. We are independent radio station that we campaign and we highlight, and we serve as a community-based radio station that we give an avenue, a platform to independent artists. So if you are a producer, if you are a manager, if you are a group, if you are an individual, and you would like to get on the station, please give us a call. We have a place for you. We're here to advertise and to promote you as an independent artist. We appreciate you tremendously. You can find Smash Bros on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube as well as on Facebook. And we hope that you would like, share, follow, and subscribe to us. We appreciate you tremendously. I'm Oz. You can find me on practically all social medias. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. So please like, follow, share, subscribe, mention us. We're here for you. So, located right in Birmingham, Alabama. We appreciate you stopping in with us. I'm going to talk about something that I've been not dreading per se, but I've been doing a lot of prayer. And so we're going to talk about the effects that, and I apologize for being Wednesday, and I apologize for the subject being so dreary. It's just part of the cycle of life. And so once I get started, you will understand why I chose today to talk about the effects of death and talk about the 4 deaths that affected me and the 1 death that never occurred. But before I get involved in that, if you have not filed income tax yet, and you are searching for, now, I do not recommend HR Block or any of those tax preparers or tax services like that, because they are multiple. They're worldwide. When I initially started, I went to H&R Block, and I did those all the way from, I think, when I was 16 all the way up to the time in 1988 when I arrived up here in Birmingham. And then in 89, I had a parent, a mother, who worked for Fisher Tax preparer. And so Mr. Fisher has been doing my taxes since 1989. And if I did not have Mr. Fisher, or if Mr. Fisher decides to retire, these would be the 3 tax services that I would go to. I would, because you would want a tax service that is, first of all, is minority owned. I know 2 other tax services I taught. The owners, the operators, the entrepreneurs were former students, so I can highly recommend their services. You can't get any better when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to professionalism, when it comes to understanding your needs, understanding your situation, because each situation, family situation dynamics is totally different than anybody else. And plus 2, you would want a tax service that is always open, that never closes. That's not a seasonal tax service. And so I can highly recommend the following. You have Simple Tax Solutions, LLC. You have Smooth Tax Solutions, LLC. And you have Smart Tax. All 3 of these individuals, I highly recommend. They are fantastic. I know that Smart Tax not only handles tax preparation, but also they can handle anything when it comes to taxes, when it comes to investments. The Hortons are fantastic. So I can recommend Simple Tax, Smooth Tax. Can't get any better. Check them out. You can find them on Facebook. Simple Tax Solutions, LLC, Smooth Tax Solutions, LLC, and Smart Tax. And that's capital SMAR, capital TAXX, Smart Tax. So simple tax, smooth tax, and smart tax. So please check them out. You and then plus two, you want a service that is going to be that's going to know your situation, is going to know your circumstances, and it's going to know you well enough and know exactly what tax form to use, so that way that you would get the maximum refund that you can possibly get. So, and again, you would want a tax service that is open every day, 365 days of the year, and not a seasonal tax service. So please, again, a simple tax solution, smooth tax solution, smart tax solution. Also, you can get in touch with Fisher Tax Preparations. He's fantastic. He's out. Mr. Fisher is out in Forestdale. Forestdale, off of Arkadelphia. So, but again, simple tax solutions, smooth tax solutions, and smart tax, and that's capital SMAR, capital TAXX, one word, smart tax. Simple tax, smooth tax, smart tax. So please check them out. Also, I didn't watch the Grammys. I watched the synopsis, and plus I watched what little bit was on TikTok. And I was somewhat disappointed, especially when it came to Bonnie Raitt, that no one knew who she was. I was really upset that people wouldn't think that she deserved what the award that she received. Y'all Google everything else, and you need to Google exactly who Bonnie Raitt was. You'll find out that she is an icon. You would find out that she is a legend. 98, if not 100% of all of her songs she wrote herself. She is she writes songs. She has set the path for some of the younger individuals to follow. She opened a lot of doors. So for those of you who ridiculed and didn't know what the hell you were talking about, Google to find out exactly who she is. I had a real concern that it's been 50 years since rap came on. And I was born in 1960, so I was raised in the 70s and 80s. So I was around when this supposedly quote unquote gangster rap came out. And if people would remember, the Grammys were totally opposed, because they said that this was a fad, that this was going away, that this was gangster rap, this was anti-establishment, this was all this negative bull. But people had to understand that the elders, the masters, the ones that came up, that developed, that set the platform, that set the foundation for others to follow, that was their interpretation of what they were living in. And so now for you to all of a sudden want to glorify and celebrate them, it's too late. Well, maybe not too late, but I think some apologies should get out. But again, if you were to go behind the scenes and research to find out exactly who the CEOs and who are the ones that make the decisions when it comes to these record companies, don't be surprised at who you find, because those same individuals are the same individuals that handles anything that comes with television too. And these individuals have a history of being anti-black. Now they all of a sudden want to use this word anti-Semitic. Now see, understand, I am universal. I talk about everybody. It has nothing to do about being anti-anything. And as in any group, you cannot lump everybody in one certain group. You have good and bad, you have indifferent, you have sons of bitches, you have assholes, you have all these individuals and all. So don't come up with this. It has nothing to do with anti-Semitic. This is my opinion when it comes to a group that has shown themselves on a continuous and a constant basis that you're anti-black. And the truth be known, and if the media was doing their jobs and all, you would find out that some of the atrocities that are happening over in Israel with this new Israeli government, what they are doing to the Palestinians is basically war crimes. And for the United States to continue to send billions of dollars over to Israel, I think is preposterous. I don't think that the money should be sent to Israel. And the truth be known, those individuals who claim to be Jews are not the true Jews, because the true Jews are not white. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. You need to do more research to find out exactly where these individuals come from. And this anti-defamation, whatever, you need to find out the history of it, because it had anti-black opinions. So don't come and let me go ahead and put the opinions that expressed or implied on Smash Bros. Radio are not those of Smash Bros. Radio. Those belong to me. So you come after me, because I'm ready for you. I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you. So, got that out. So I got the Grammys out of my system. I got the Grammys out of my system. I talked about the tax services, and so now I'm ready for the stuff. Also, I'm starting out good. I got my 1186 water. If you have not, please, it's minority owned. It's right here in Alabama, down in Otagoville. So please check them out. 1186 water. It's a fantastic water. Also, if you love coffee, if you're into coffee, please check out Alicia Coffee down in Vincent. Give her a call. I think she makes deliveries. She's worldwide. She has a fantastic reputation. You cannot get any better coffee. I usually do the community coffee down from New Orleans, but I have switched over to Alicia's Coffee, which is a fantastic coffee. If you are into iced coffee, you can't get any better. So check her out down in Vincent's. And so also, if you love chocolates, check out Berries by I cannot talk about Berries by Crystal because I get excited. But but check out Berries by Crystal. Also, check out Crazy Candies. So please check these individuals out. You will be wonderful with tasting them, with it, especially with the coffee, the water, the candies. Also, minority black-owned bread company is Black Bread. Please check them out. So, that being said, I spent some time with my godmom yesterday. She had to get her license renewed. And so we went to get her license renewed. Here in Alabama, we have a new license to where you have a star on the new license. And from what I understand, my understanding, I hope that this is correct, the star on your driver's license is similar to having a passport. So if you want to know more about it, please Google about the star on the insurance. So on a driver's license. So we went out to get the license, and I noticed some changes. I noticed that she was more hyper. She was moving slower. She thought that it was going to take 2 hours to get this new license. And where we went was off of Highway 280. And I was supposed to be over there by 9. So I got over there by 8:45. We left out by 10 minutes before 9, or 8:50. It took us about 10 minutes, maybe 12, let's say 15 minutes to get to the satellite place. We were out by, I think we were out by 9, let's say conservatively, we were out by 9:15, maybe 9:20. And then we went to Hannah's nursery. And again, I noticed some changes. And I had to watch and observe to make sure that her footing was secure. And so after we left the nursery, Hannah's nursery, uh, we went to Lowe's, and I was more observant with her behavior. And so those emotions from the past that I thought I had control over started to inch up, started to come up. So after we went to Lowe's, she took me out to eat, and we went to Metro Diner, and I noticed some changes. And then it hit me that my mom was declining. No matter how much we try to prepare, you really can't prepare when it comes to death. Uh, there's no way that you can uh, prepare for the sledgehammer that is going to uh, strike. And so it brought back the memories that I had forgotten. It brought back some memories that I thought I had control over. And then I started thinking, uh, because once you have experienced death, it changes your perspective forever. Uh, Especially when it comes to the dynamics of a family, uh, funerals, or guilty of changing the dynamics, changing the opinions, changing the relationships when it comes to a family. Unfortunately, in some cases, it creates a gulf, creates a separation in the family. All these feelings that were hidden are now visible. Greed is prevalent. These negative attitudes are more visual, more projected, uh, and then you hear things and you see things that you kind of knew that were there, but you never had any evidence because these individuals hid their true feelings, hid their true opinions, their true behavior. Uh, I found that siblings can go through simultaneously a situation, a situation, and their perspectives can be totally different. And I don't know how that's possible, but I learned that when I moved down to Miami uh, to live with my sister. Uh, so death either brings individuals together or it separates, divides the families. And so you have to regroup. So there were 4 deaths that affected me and changed my way of looking at things, changed my way of doing things. The first death that I experienced that kind of rocked me to the core was when I lost my Jesse. Uh, Jesse was my soulmate. I never believed in a soulmate. I thought it was a fantasy. I thought that there was no such thing as a soulmate. And I fortunately found out that it is possible to have a soulmate. Uh, we met at a club. That's when I learned to drive my own car because I foolishly rode with friends, and so I'm not really a club goer. I don't like per se going out. I don't like crowds, and so I was stuck at the table while everybody was dancing and all. And this individual came up and sat down, and I looked at them and like, what the fuck? And they asked, "Do you want to dance?" And I said, "No." They said that you look bored. I said, "I am." They said that, "Why don't you go home?" I said, "Why are you asking me all of these questions?" They asked, "Was I always an obnoxious bastard?" And I asked, "Are you always an arrogant bitch?" And that's how we met. And so they wanted to know, could they take me out? And I said, "Listen, I just want to go home." And so they said, "Well, give me your number." So I foolishly gave him my number. Uh, I got home at 7 in the morning, had just laid my head down. Uh, this individual called me at 7, I think it was 7:10 or 7:15. And my niece, uh, Misty, came and said, "Somebody on the phone." And I mean, I'm just getting into a real good sleep, and I reeked of the bar. So I was so tired. I didn't even have time to shower. So you ever had been bored, had so much fun and all that you just passed out on the bed? And I said, "Just tell them I'm dead and call me later." Well, she foolishly said that. He said that he's dead and you to call him later, and so that pissed me off. So I got up, and it was this individual. And I said, "Well, I go out, you pay, and I choose." And I thought that was going to end, but unfortunately, they agreed to it. So that's how we met. Now, we started out on the wrong footing, and then we became close friends, and we talked about everything. I was open, and they accepted me for me. And I'm uh, I'm not saying I'm a complex person. I'm not saying that I'm difficult at times to deal with, but I can be a handful at times. I will I will admit that. I, I am a handful at times. So we talked about everything. And so we evolved into more than friends. And we were so comfortable with each other. So now they were older than me. They had just graduated, I think 2 years before me. And because I think I was junior or going into senior. I think I was about to graduate. But anyway, they was 2 years older than I was. They were an executive with a tech company, and when you find someone that you're comfortable with, that you're secure with, that you know that has your back, that has your interest at heart, that you feel free, that you're comfortable, that the communication is there, the dynamics is there, the everything that you want out of a relationship is there. Now, I was not, I know that death is part of a cycle. I understand that and I accept that. They never told me that they had cancer. So, uh, one morning, their mother called, told me that they had something to tell me, and that Jesse uh, didn't want me to know earlier, but she wanted to tell me now. And I was like, "What did they say?" So, uh, the mom told me that Jesse had passed away. Now, see, I had talked to them the week prior, and so devastated doesn't even define, does not even describe what I felt then. The 7 stages of death I experienced, I hated them. I despised them. I was angry with them. How dare they leave me? So the funeral was going to be in a week. I was to do the eulogy, and I told the mother, "Can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not up to it." She said, "Well, think about it, and we will put you uh, on the program, and we leave it open. If you show up, you show up. We want you to show up." And so I went through all those stages. So the day of the funeral, I thought, no, I'm going to do this because I need to tell them how I feel. So I made it in time. Outside, the brothers were waiting for me. I call the brothers the steps because she had 4 brothers, or he had 4 brothers, or whatever, and they were waiting outside from for me. Now I was scared to, I was scared to death of the brothers, and I called them the steps because each one of them, from the oldest to the youngest, was like a step, and they were outside waiting for me, and I was shocked. And the youngest said, "We knew you were coming," and so we hugged. They told me that they had my back. They told me that you say what you want to from your heart. You talk to her like she's there. So I did. I apologized to the pastor. I apologized to the congregation. And I told Jesse that I was angry with them. I told Jesse that he had no business leaving me. I never felt an emptiness, never experienced an emptiness like that before. Now, a long time ago, I used to play the flute, and Jesse had purchased a flute for me. And so I played the flute, and I gave the flute back, and I left. That experience rocked me to the point to where I never wanted to experience love. I never wanted to be in another serious relationship, and I haven't, and I'm not going to because I don't want to go through that again. Once you have a soulmate, there's no going back. You don't find another soulmate. And some people say you do. And some people, and I know they mean well, will say that, well, it's better to have loved than not to have loved at all. Bullshit. Fuck that. But I understand. The second death was my mom. Now, see, I was an obedient child. During my generation, you never questioned. You did as you were told. And I did. My mom had me when she was 16. My dad was 19. My mom never. I knew my mom was not my friend. My mom was my mama. So she had already set the boundaries. She had already set the limitations. I knew, see, when I was being raised, I knew my place, I accepted my place, I stayed in my place. And that's how I was raised. And to this day, that's how I am. I know my place, I accept my place, I stay in my place. So, Mama had a liver transplant. And from what I understand, OZZz gave her an award and all because I think that the duration for a liver transplant, I think it's 5 or 10 years. And Mama lived 15 years with her liver transplant. And so my mom lived in Foley, Alabama, down close to Gulf Shores. And so I hated going to Foley, and I didn't want to go, but something told me that I needed to. So I went down to Foley and Fairfield, about 45 minutes from Foley. So I took Mama to her appointment, and Mama never left the hospital. The doctor allowed me to sleep in this. I think what is it? This chair that you sit in when you're being examination a chair, and so they put Mama in the hospital, and so to watch an individual to decline is something. It's something hard. To be a caregiver, to have the responsibility of taking care of a loved one that you have such a close attachment with, and you see the decline, you see the pain, you see the anguish that they're going in, you start having crazy thoughts. And then, you start these crazy thoughts that you can't stand for them to be in the pain that they're in, and you want them to not have the pain. You want them to be at peace, and you start thinking these irrational thoughts that you don't act on. It's just you just love them so much. You want the pain to stop. You want to take the pain for them, and you start thinking these crazy thoughts that maybe if I were to put a pillow over her face, and maybe she could feel better, but it's nothing. And then you feel guilty. How dare you think this? What are you, some type of monster? But you think that you can't take watching them decline. You can't stand watching them get close to death. Now, see, I was taught, the elders taught us that we were to stay in the hospital 24/7, that we were never to leave. My mom and my grandmother knew me, and I need to make some corrections. When I came home, I went straight to my granddaddy's bed. My granddaddy, Papa, had just had back surgery, so I stayed in my granddaddy's arms while he was recuperating. And so most of my life, about 98% of my life, we lived with my grandparents, my maternal grandparents. So for me to say that my grandparents raised me is just half truth, because my parents were there too. So though we lived in my grandparents' home, and back then, whoever's roof you were under, that's who you followed. And then too, back then, it wasn't anything uncommon for families to live together, extended families to live together, because you needed that extra income, that extra check to help you take care of the house. So my maternal grandparents were always there for me. So, and then because of my dad being jealous of me because of my relationship with his mother, uh, my dad was very abusive. And so my mom's best friend, Nancy Shaw, told me that I was like a whoop puppy. I was always carrying in the corner. But my grandmother, because of my grandmother's strength and because of my granddaddy's strength, uh, they gave me my backbone. And so when people are saying, well, why is Lewis this way? I tell them, you need to ask Evelyn why I'm this way because it's her fault that I'm this way. So to watch my mom decline. Now, that first week, I stayed in the hospital to find out what the schedule was. I wanted to know when mama woke up. I wanted to know exactly what went on during the day. I wanted to know when my mom went to sleep. I wanted to know when she woke up. And I think it was Wednesday. I think Wednesday after Wednesday, I pretty much do the routine. So I would arrive early in the morning and I would stay till about 3 and then I would leave. Now the elders had a problem with me leaving, but like I told them, if you have a problem with me, you talk to my grandma because my mama would not expect me to stay and my grandmother would not want me to stay. So first of all, you need to mind your business. You need to stay out of my business and you need to go about your business. Well, if you're raised in my family, that's a huge no-no because I disrespected the elders. So I learned early in life. I told on myself before somebody else told on me. And my grandmother Gam understood. My maternal grandparents I called Mama and Papa. And then as I got up older, started calling my grandmother Mama Gam. So I told Gam what I had done, and of course she got on to me and she told me that you need to apologize. So I apologized to him. I told her, my grandmother told me I had to apologize to you. I meant what I said, but I should not have said the way that I said it. So because of being an obedient child and because of always respecting my mom, I didn't have any regrets. So we had left, my aunt and myself had left, and we had just arrived home, and we had to turn back around. And my mom passed before I got back to the hospital. Now, if you have a relationship with your father, I'm not taking anything away from the fathers because some of us have had some wonderful experiences and are tight and are close with our fathers, are close with both parents. So I'm not taking anything, and I don't mean any disrespect to the daddies and to the fathers out there. When your mom goes, in most cases, your life goes in your head. So when my mom left, I didn't have a home to go back to. And I cussed God because I felt I was like an orphan. Now, see, I never disrespected my dad, but we had a disagreement. But I never disrespected him. Out of the kids, I never disrespected my dad. I just didn't have the relationship. And I called him maybe once a month to check on him because I felt that that's what I was right to do. Because, see, I was raised that you were supposed to honor your father and your mother. You didn't have to love them. Understand that. You are to respect your parents. You don't have to love them because you don't have to have love with respect, and you don't have to have respect with love. Those things, you don't have to. But when my mom passed away, I felt like I was an orphan. So having experienced losing Jesse, then losing my mom, changed another way. And then The third individual was my former dean, Dr. Eunice Warren Moore from Alabama State University. She was the first female administrator. She was the dean of arts and sciences. She was very regal, very sagacious. She was a typical AKA. She was the bosselist for the grad chapter in Montgomery. It was under her administration that the headquarters, the AKA headquarters off, I think, Western Boulevard, she was the one, it was her administration that purchased the old Regions Bank, and that is the headquarters for the grad chapter for Montgomery. My dean was an AKA, Alpha Kappa Alpha. She is alumna of Alabama A&M. Her husband, Mr. Moore, was an Alpha Phi Alpha. They were my dean was from Uniontown. Her father was a dairyman, and so her mom, Mrs. Warren, was a mess. Mrs. Warren lived in Illiton, so when we would come up to visit or to pick up Mrs. Warren, I would ask Mrs. Warren, "How are you doing, Mrs. Warren?" She said, "I'm tired." So my dean was my mentor. My dean taught me a lot. My dean was so sagacious. She graduated. She alumna of Alabama A&M. Then she went to USC, University of Southern California, and then she went to University of Washington in Seattle, and she received her PhD in English usage. And I think that she was the first Black female to have graduated from the University of Washington in Seattle. So my dean was my mentor. She had a house up in Huntsville, Sandia Boulevard, right across from Alabama A&M is in Normal, Alabama, which people confuse with Huntsville. And so instead of getting people confused, we say that Alabama A&M, or the Hill, is located in Huntsville, but it's located in Normal, Alabama. So across the road from A&M, my dean had a house, Sandia Boulevard, on Sandia Boulevard. And so we would go up to check on the house, and we used to go to Atlanta. My dean taught me about crystals. Now, I already knew about crystal because I was raised around it, but my dean had every colored crystal there was in the world. She had all these goblets. She had all this crystal. My dean had numerous shoes. She couldn't wear flats. She always wore high heels. She had her taste was exquisite. The fur coat. During that time, Lenox Square was really the place to go, and I think this was in 80. Let's say, because I arrived to state in 79, so this was around 81, 82. And so there was a furry place at Lenox Square, and that's where she used to get furs. Now, the furs that my dean had was what I would call antique fur, because the stroller that she had was bulky. They don't even make strollers like this anymore. So, and she was the one that introduced me to the furs and all. That's why now I have a mink coat, I have a sable, and I have a chinchilla parka. And so it was because of my dean that I have this. So we used to go to Atlanta, and I learned a lot from her. I had just graduated, had a job after graduation. I was so excited. Went in, and I was a college work study student in her office, and I come in, and I said, "Have a job," and she was like, "Where?" I said, "Selma." She told me, "Sit down." I was like, and my dean has never used tone. I said, "Ma'am," she said, "Sit down." So I sat down. She said, "You're not taking it." I said, "I have a job." She said, "You're not taking it." She said, you to go back to get your master's. And then she said, didn't you want to go to Birmingham? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, you're going to go back, get your master's, and then you're going to apply to Birmingham. I was devastated. And I didn't. She said, Selma would run you out. You would not stay there long. So I made it a point that every time I came down, I always stopped by Dr. Moore's house. I had missed a month or something, and I couldn't get in touch with her. And then I found out that she had a form of dementia, and that the mailman, she was at the end of her driveway, and they had to call the paramedics on. They put her in a nursing home, and that devastated me. For me to see my dean in the condition that she was in, and to know that what I was taught and then what she added to really, really changed my perspective on things. Really changed. The fourth death was, of course, my grandma's. Totally different. And see, that's another thing. Each individual has a certain place in your life. So you're going to go through a certain level, a certain caliber of hurt, of pain, of anguish. And so I was taking AP classes at the University of Alabama. And so when you take an AP class, you have a week of concentration on how to teach AP classes. Now, since I was department chair and since I was on the book committee, I already knew what books, AP books, I was going to use, or I had chosen for government as well as Mike and Mick microeconomics. And so you have to go through a week, and then that Friday you turn in your syllabus and you turn in your book, and then the professor would go over it and you would get your certificate. So Thursday rolled around, I was called. I had to go to Montgomery because the doctor had come in and had asked, had my grandmother seen everybody? And from what my aunt said, everyone said in unison, she hasn't seen Lewis yet. And he asked who Lewis was, and they said that was her grandson. And he said that, well, that's the reason why she's holding on, because she's waiting to see Lewis. So I talked to Dr. Kelly, who was the coordinator for AP studies, and I told her the situation. She said that, well, you asked the professor, so I asked the professor, and I already had my syllabus. And so I showed him the syllabus and the book, and he asked, he said, who did the syllabus? I said, I did. He said, how did you do it? I said, I went online and I went by the outline that they gave and did with the book, and I showed him the book. And he said, well, this is good. I said, what does that mean? He said, you're good. You got, I said, so I get my certificate? He said, yeah. He said, you need to go. So I left. And when I arrived at the hospital, the room was crowded with everybody. And then the next time I looked up, everybody was gone. And I was wondering, where in the hell did everybody go? So I held my grandmama's hand, and I told her, I really don't want you to go, but I know that you need to go. I know you need to have peace, and I can't be selfish. You have taught me. You have instilled in me everything that I have. And because of you, I'm where I am. So though I don't want to say goodbye, I have to. I have to say goodbye. I will forever be in your debt for having my back, pushing me to be better than what I was. So I love you. Watch over me. And she went to sleep. So to lose your mom and then to lose your grandmother, I was an orphan because I didn't have a place to go to anymore. So those 4 deaths changed me completely, changed the way that I thought, changed the way that I reacted, changed the way that I saw things, I viewed things. 4 deaths of 4 individuals who had a special place in my heart, in my life, that I learned from. The death that never happened was when I was a mascot at state and I started having muscle problems. I couldn't walk. I couldn't lift weights. So I was finally diagnosed with myasthenia gravis. And so Dr. Hamp Green told me that I had 6 weeks to a year to live because myasthenia gravis is a neuromuscular disease. It's a form of muscular dystrophy. That, ooh. Well, see, I was lifting weights. I was a mascot. I was lifting weights. So, and for me, for me to be a white boy, I never had muscles. I never had a chest. I mean, please. So I was lifting weights. I was looking damn good. I had a chest. My muscles were moving in my chest. My roommate Steve Wilson used to laugh at me. He said, why are you molesting yourself? I said, listen, I ain't never had muscles. It fascinates me that these things up here are moving and my chest is moving. I'm kind of getting off on this shit. So, so for me to be told that I had 6 weeks to a year, 6 weeks to a year. I mean, I'm just starting being a sophomore. I'm about to start my major. I haven't even started yet. But because I had a grandmother who was an actual authentic grandmother who made me go to church. We came home, we sat at the breakfast table, and she said that he doesn't have the last diagnosis. He can only give you from what as he was trained, but he doesn't have the last decision. You're to go to your room and you're to pray to God and you're to ask for directions. You're to ask for guidance. You're going to ask for some type of understanding. You're going to ask for some type of strength. So I went in, closed my door, and I talked to God as if he was beside me. I said, listen, I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know what or how to handle this. And I need for you to take this. I need guidance. I need understanding. I need strength. I need peace. Because I know that you have this. And I'm asking you to take this. Give me some type of strength. Give me some type of guidance. Give me some type of understanding of why this is this. Because I'm scared. I'm asking for help. And I know that you told and you say that you're always there asking, you will receive. Well, I'm asking. I'm asking for help. I'm asking for you to guide me, to lead, guide me, direct me. Tell me what to do. Give me the strength to handle this because right now I can't. It's too hard. And I came out. My grandmother was still at the breakfast table. And I told her what I had done. She said, we will not speak of this again. You've given it to him. You leave it with him. She said that we at times ask for strength and we ask for God to handle it. And then we have these negativity, these negative thoughts to come in. And so we've taken what we've given to him, we've taken it back. See, that's where your faith comes in. You've given it to him, you leave it with him. And when those negative thoughts start coming in, you quickly erase them. You delete them. You don't accept them because you've given it to him. Now understand that he's going to do in his own time. But that's where your faith comes in. You gave it to him, you leave it to him. We're not going to talk about this again. And I never have. And after 40-something years, I'm still here. Now, in those years, I've learned to sever ties from those individuals who were negative, who brought nothing positive to me. And I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of folks, but I don't regret it because I'm still here. I don't regret it because Ralph Mobley saw something in me to allow me to have a morning show. So I'm blessed. So you have to get to the point to where you love yourself, you understand yourself, you do yourself, you leave all negativity aside, you give it to God, you leave it to God, you don't say nothing more of it. You pray for those who would want to cause you harm, and you sincerely know that. You pray for those who bring negativity to your life, who will bring nothing to your life, and you leave it alone, and you sever the ties. Once you have experienced death, you never get over it. That emptiness stays, remains, but you modify it to the point to where you control it, and it doesn't control you. And just like me experiencing what I did yesterday with my godmom, the pain is still there. And it came quickly. And this has been like 10, 11 years. And it's been longer than that with Jesse. But it's still there. It's right there at the surface. But you learn to deal with it. You modify it. You handle it. And you can. You ask God for guidance. You ask God for directions. You ask God for some type of understanding. And you ask God for strength. And you leave it. Because you have faith enough to know that anything is possible through him. And you're going to be okay. I appreciate y'all stopping in. I appreciate you allowing me to talk. So, please like, share, follow Smash Bros Radio on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Like, share, follow, subscribe. You can find me OZZz, O, capital Z, lowercase z. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitter. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful Wednesday. Be safe. Be out while you're out there. Know your value. Know your worth. Know that you are the one that controls everything that's about you. And most importantly, know that I love you more than I love my luggage. I will see you Friday. Y'all take care. Love you. The live stream on the show. The live stream on the show. live stream. The live stream on the show.